As dawn breaks on the morning of D-Day, the Allied fleet, which the night before set sail from England, approaches France. Along with more than 150,000 other young men, British Commando Cliff Morris faces the longest day of his life.
6th of June, 1944. Time is now approximately 5:30 in the morning, and the Sergeant Major has come round rousing us. Under his eagle eye, every man on our boat washes and shaves, then cleans his boots. He says that if it is the last thing we do, we will go in spick and span.
We had the feeling that if we were smarter than they and anybody else, nothing could stop us. It was all going to be part of the great plan. We would be smart, we'd be on the ball, and we'd make it.
Half an hour later, the great guns of the German battery at Longue-sur-Mer open fire on the invading troops. But there is something that the German commanders do not know. The French, tipped off by a local farmer, have told London exactly where the guns are hidden.
That farmer was a good patriot, was furious to see that some of his land was being used. And he wanted to do something, at least, to get in touch with the French resistance.
The British have the exact coordinates and retaliate immediately with 114 6-inch shells. By 6:20 a.m., the battery falls silent. Now all the big guns open up with a huge barrage to soften up the German emplacements and beach defences. The noise of the bombardment can be heard 6 miles inland, in Caen. This is when the German occupiers exact their own terrible vengeance.
It was said that the nearly 100 prisoners, members of the resistance that the Germans still held in jail, were already singing the Marseillaise. But the Gestapo, that was ruthless, decided they couldn't keep those people. The Germans shot 87 of them in the early hours of D-Day. They were probably among the very first victims of that day. To the memory of the prisoners shot by the Germans here on the 6th of June, 1944, the oppressor, by killing them, thought he had made them die forever. In fact, he immortalized them.
Time is now approximately 0800 hours, and the stand-by order is given. Though, on looking over the side, there seems to be a hell of a lot of water between us and the beach. Anyway, the next move is by the Navy. At 8:15 we hear it. Ramps down, and they begin to slide into the water. We move at the same time, and we are on the ramp before it has settled into the water, and we are sliding and running down it. We are only poised in mid-air for a split second, but it really is the feeling of a duck being held up for a target, and all the guns in creation being fired at you. We wade as hard as we can. The water now chest high and very hard going with all this kit on. The water having filled our rucksacks and in our blouses. And we curse. Curse Jerry and anyone else we can lay tongue to. Soon we begin to reach shallower water, but we feel more of a target and wish we were back in deeper waters again. We try to run, but it caused a splashing which we tried to avoid, even though we are already wet through and soaked.
You were bent on your own efforts to get off the beach fast. Others were struggling and trying to crawl through the water, but we were running all the time. We'd been trained to run in water, and we knew when we hit the beach, we were to split into two sections, one going just slightly left and the other one going right, to split up and then take on the targets that we knew we were going to meet with.
0820 we make the beach. All is confusion, or so it would have seemed to any spectators, had there been any. It is, however, a well-rehearsed plan going into action, at least as far as we're concerned. Bodies lie sprawled all over the beach, some with arms, legs, and heads missing, the blood clotting on the wet sand. All of this and the moans and screams of those in agony, blending with the shrieks of bullets and the whining of shells, is a terrifying aspect. It all has to be seen before the full effect of what war really means can be understood, especially to those who have to fight it.
We came under fire on the beach then, so that's when we went into a tactical practice that we had practiced. The small section I was with took on some quick firing guns on the left side. And 6 of us peeled off to go and take those out, and the rest of the troop moved over to get lined up, ready for the next big job.
For 50 miles along the Cherbourg Peninsula, Allied assault troops pour ashore. Among them, B Company of the Regina Rifles. Glenn Dickin is one of the first. He knows this is no time to be afraid, just to hit the beach and run like hell. Somehow, he makes it to safety. Others are not so lucky. From the Regina Rifles A Company, 120 men come ashore. 85 are killed or injured. Despite the ferocity of their response, the Germans have been caught completely off guard. Rommel, in charge of the Channel defences, is hundreds of miles away at home in Germany. Convinced the landings are weeks away, he is taking a few days off. The telephone is first rung at 6:30 a.m., his chief of staff reporting early sightings of the Allied fleet. A second phone call confirms the worst. Rommel is soon in his car en route to France. This has been the greatest misjudgment of his career. Every hour of his desperate rush to Normandy allows yet more invasion troops ashore. The gods are smiling on the Allies. At 12 noon on D-Day, Winston Churchill goes to the Houses of Parliament to make the announcement that everyone has been waiting for.
During the night and in the early hours of this morning, the first of a series of landings in force upon the European continent has taken place. In this case, the liberating assault is upon the coast of France. This vast operation is undoubtedly the most complicated and difficult that has ever taken place.
So far, each assault has reached its immediate objective, with only one exception. The Americans, landing at Omaha Beach, have met severe resistance. The planners want to have 34,000 men safely ashore here by nightfall. But the soldiers are pinned down at the cliff face, each wave of men sitting ducks for German machine guns. Only the liberation of targets immediately inland will clear the way for the American assault. But at Sainte-Mère-Église, just a few miles from the beaches, fierce German counterattack is underway. American paratrooper Bill Tucker has been on the move for 8 hours.
Never in all of our maneuvers of the past do we chase around a circle so much. It's a horrible experience, tearing through hedgerows and thickets. We're crawling and it's hot as hell. The firing begins to get heavier up to our right. We're pinned down in a ditch and can't even lift our heads up. Finally, there's no choice but to find some place to get across the road. We make a dash and into another little sunken orchard.
So we got out of there, and then we were told to head back through the hedgerows. To come out on this road, we had to cross the south side of the back of the town through all kinds of yards, hedgerows. Geez, it was exhausting.
At the east end of the Allied bridgehead, the men of No. 6 Commando also have an inland target to secure. Their objective, the bridge at Benouville, over the River Orne, codenamed Pegasus. Here, Cliff Morris finds the British paratroopers have got there first. Their fight has been every bit as fierce as on the beaches.
It is a sight never to be forgotten. Again, everywhere is confusion. The area is still under heavy fire, so all movement is made either at the double or by crawling. Both Jerry and airborne dead and wounded lie sprawled in the road and in trenches. The whole area is pitted with shell and mortar holes, and the air reeks of smoke and cordite. Also littering the area are the crashed gliders. Some have landed almost intact, but others have crashed into the trees, the bridge itself, and many other obstacles.
By 1 p.m, No. 6 Commando, now reinforcing the British 6th Airborne, has achieved its first objective. Benouville has fallen to the Allies. Lance Corporal Cliff Morris has survived. D-Day continues to wrong-foot the Germans. Field Marshal von Rundstedt, in overall charge of the Western Command, prevaricates. Against Rommel's advice, he has held back 2 panzer divisions near Paris and only agrees to release them at 2:30 p.m. It is much too late. In London, a special service is to be held at St. Paul's Cathedral. At Westminster Abbey, people pray at the tomb of the unknown soldier. The mood on both sides of the Atlantic is somber and serious. People queue at newsstands. Theatres and bars are half empty. By now, 1,374 Allied aircraft have dropped 6,000 tons of bombs on Normandy. A key target is the hometown of André Heinz and his family.
I immediately joined the ambulance drivers, and at about 4 o'clock, we were asked to go and rescue some people, but we didn't go very far because very soon, near the center of Caen, we heard the planes, and all of a sudden we saw the bombs. I thought it would drop like a stone, but in fact it turned round and round, but it was coming dangerously towards us. It was terribly frightening because it's exactly as if you were caught in the middle of a railway line with a train arriving top speed towards you, no chance, no possibility of escaping, and the noise is terrific, and you think, I'm going to be caught. It's the end of me. And all of a sudden we realized that it was the building behind us which had been destroyed.
In the confusion of a shattered city, André Heinz desperately tries to find his sister, a nurse at the hospital.
I went to see my sister, who was in the operating theater, and she was almost trembling because she said, some bombs have fallen on the hospital. Oh, she said, well, we must do something. Look, the operating sheets are red with blood. We'll take 4 of them. Some were not really completely red, so we dipped them in the pails of previous operations, full of blood, those pails were. And we took those 4 sheets, and as we were going to stretch the 4th side of that big red cross, a plane came out again of the clouds, and we looked at one another, thinking, shall we run away or finish the job? But we decided to finish the job, and we had the surprise to see the plane rocking its wings. We realized it was a reconnaissance plane, and the pilot wanted to show us that he had taken notice of the Red Cross, and indeed, they respected the place.
So effective is the Allies' strategy and so skilled their deception plan that many German troops, even those capable of turning back the advance, have been caught on the hop. Those that are able to put up a magnificent defence throughout D-Day, as the invading soldiers know to their cost. But others never even receive the order to move. The German chain of command has let them down.
Ich stelle Sie durch. Bitte warten Sie, bis jemand abhebt. Vielen Dank. Auf Wiederhören.
Walter Schwender, too, has been let down by his commanders, though he doesn't know it yet. For now, he has been reassigned to a switchboard and is unaware of the magnitude of what's happening to the north.
An alle Lieben.
Dear all, as I am on telephone duty today and therefore have a lot of time, I want to write a few lines to you again. Everything here is completely fine. We have heard that the English have apparently landed in the night up on the Channel coast. We are likely to hear more about that in the next few days. But they will be beaten back straight away. They certainly won't have anything to smile about. For today, lots of love to you all. Walter.
The River Mu is a tree-lined ribbon of water winding its way through the Normandy countryside. Glenn Dickin and two comrades now follow its course, picking their way inland. They have been sent on a reconnaissance mission, seeking out hidden enemy positions. Their target is the village of Fontaine-Henri, a few miles to the south. Like thousands of other invasion troops, starting to fan out through occupied France, the horrors of the beach landings now give way to the dangers of enemy terrain. Lieutenant Glenn Dickin, Major Frank Peters and Rifleman Alan Kennedy have no idea they are about to go into battle.